Hello friends, welcome back to Moon Magic Spirit. My name is Meg and today we are doing a pick a card reading for the upcoming Mercury Retrograde. For those of you that are new here and may not be familiar with what a pick a card reading is, I will get into that in just a minute. But first, I just wanted to take a minute to explain what exactly Mercury Retrograde is and what it means for those who may not know. Mercury retrograde happens about every 4 months, so it's a very common occurrence. I feel like the more popular astrology gets, the more people are talking about this. It's not all doom and gloom like you may have seen or heard on other social platforms. But Mercury is the planet of communication, essentially. It's ruled by Gemini and Virgo, and the upcoming Mercury retrograde from May 10th to June 2nd is going to be Mercury retrograde in Gemini. So it's hitting home for the planet Mercury this time around. So back to Mercury, it is a planet. It rules like how we speak, how we listen, how we communicate with each other, how we digest information. So when the planet is retrograding, it appears like it's spinning backwards in the sky. It's not actually spinning backwards in the sky, but those main core values of the planet tend to get a little bit jumbled up, right? So that's why we're saying like, oh, be careful how you say things, double check your work, technology, because Mercury is also very analytical. It likes to gather information. It questions a lot. It breaks things down. It likes to digest information and just really make sense of that information. And once you start thinking about the signs associated with the planet and make sense, all those attributes, wow, I can't talk today. Shadow period is affecting my speech. No, I'm just kidding. I'm horrible at pronouncing things all the time, but all those attributes really relate to Gemini and Virgo. Said it right that time, which is awesome. So again, Mercury just rules the mind, communication, movement, travel, commerce. And when it comes to commerce, the planets rule different things when it comes to money. So with Mercury, it's the exchange of money. It's exchange of goods and services. So that's kind of a little bit of the behind the scenes of the self-expression planet Mercury. So the benefits of Mercury retrograde is that it's a perfect time for us to relinquish control, right? Because it's kind of like, all right, hands up, like the universe is in control, especially because we are in the middle of eclipse season as well. So if you have yet to relinquish your control to the universe, Mercury retrograde is coming in hot and it's saying, no, you really gotta let go. Jesus, take the wheel. So Mercury retrograde also gives us a chance to change our perspective on things and how we're seeing things and how we're digesting information, and kind of gives us a chance to reevaluate how we're taking things in and how we're listening and how we're expressing ourselves. So it's like a nice little moment to pause and take a step back. And it's definitely going to, again, yell at us to pause and take a step back because eclipse season is already asking that of us. So again, just be wary. This is a test of patience. It is a test of stress. It is a test of just really double checking things and looking things over. It's time for us to go with the flow. So let's get into the spread that I'm going to be using. I love using Emerald Lotus Divination. I will have her link down below. She always has such fun spreads on her Instagram page. So she has a specific Mercury retrograde spread, and I've used this in the past, but there's 5 questions that we're going to be asking today. Is a card to represent what the retrograde has in store for you. An interruption this retrograde is going to cause. So what is going to possibly be derailing your life, but maybe it's just an opportunity for you to look at things with a new perspective. What's an important shift that's going to happen during Mercury retrograde? Something to be mindful of this retrograde. And how this retrograde is going to help you on your karmic path. So how is this retrograde going to benefit you and help you? So we are going to transition to the different piles, and I'm going to quickly go over how pick a card readings normally work. Here we have our 3 piles with crystals. I went with crystals themed around Mercury retrograde. So for pile 1, we have rainbow fluorite, which emits peace and harmony, and it's going to help release the stress and anxiety. You know, it's kind of like an energetic vacuum cleaner. Over for pile 2, we do have black tourmaline. This is a grounding and protection stone. So it really helps give you that protective, safe energy during a period of chaos and turmoil, helping you feel safe, supported, and secure. Very important during Mercury retrograde. And lastly, in pile 3, we have Amazonite, and this is going to help you speak with clarity and grace and foster clear communication. It also has nice, calming, and soothing vibes, perfect for Mercury retrograde. If you are new to pick a card readings, this is a quick rundown on how it works. We have the 3 different piles, so in a moment I'm going to stop talking and pause so you can pause and take a nice deep breath and connect with your intuition. What I want you to do is pick the pile that you're the most drawn towards. And once you pick your pile, you can scroll to the comment section and look for my pinned comment, or check the description box to find the time-stamped link to your specific pile. Click the time and it will take you to your message. So please keep in mind that, again, these are readings for the collective. They're general. You may not resonate with every single aspect of your reading. However, if you do want to book a personal reading with me, my website is linked down below in the description box. At the same time, you may also be drawn to more than one pile. That's totally normal and okay. There may just be messages in multiple piles that you need to hear. And while I have you here, thank you so much for lending your time and energy to my channel. Please feel free to check out my other content and look in the description box to see where else you can connect with me on social media. I would love to connect with you more. And also leave me a comment down below and let me know what resonated with you from your pile. That is a quick little rundown, so go ahead and pause the screen and take those couple of breaths to see which pile you're drawn to, and I will see you over in your pile for your reading. Welcome, pile 1, to your Mercury retrograde reading. We have our beautiful rainbow fluorite. If you like crystals, I do have a lot of crystal content on my channel. But let's see what Mercury retrograde has in store for you. And just a reminder, this will last until about June 3rd. And also, we are currently in eclipse season as well, which I think will come into play with these readings. And because we're currently in Mercury retrograde and experiencing an eclipse season, some of the meanings of this card are going to be a little bit different based on what is currently happening. So keep that in mind. All right, let's get into it. A card to represent what is in store this Mercury retrograde. And here we have the Ace of Pentacles. What a beautiful card to pull. This is a good sign. Like, I feel like your Mercury retrograde isn't going to be something horrific, you know? So that's good. So here, when we actually look at the cards, I love using the OG Rider-Waite-Smith deck in my readings because I really like to play in the artistry into the meaning of the card. So as you can see here, we have like a gray neutral sky. We have some clouds here, but they're nice and swirly clouds as well. So that represents, like, you know, a neutral sky. Things are neutral right now, but also something here is brewing. An opportunity is brewing. It's going to be presented to you. You know, it's on the glowing hand is like, ah. And we have our coin, which is a symbol of pentacles. So the suit of pentacles represents tangible, physical, materialistic objects. So that could be anything from work, money, material objects, physical objects, property. It could also represent holistic abundance as well. So as we look down here on Earth, we have a lot of greenery, a lot of foliage. Things are taken care of. They're very well maintained. But if we look at the path through the archway, we can see some mountains in the distance. So this isn't going to be something that's handed to you that you're just going to sit back and relax on. Like, you're going to have to climb the mountain and do some of the work here. So this is what we can expect for this Mercury retrograde. The Ace of Pentacles is also a manifestation card. So to me, what this means is, because we're in eclipse season, you typically, generally, personally, for me in my practice, I don't like to manifest during eclipse season because the energy is a little, you know, chaotic and unpredictable, and it's also good spiritual hygiene to just kind of pause and take a step back and give the other things that you were manifesting a chance to come to fruition. So I see this happening for you. Something that you have been manifesting and working towards is going to start to come to fruition for you. And if you would like more information on eclipse season, I do have a video from last year's eclipse with a lot of really good general information that'll be linked down below. But yeah, something that you have been manifesting is coming to fruition. So this is the opportunity that's going to be presented to you during this time period during Mercury retrograde. This is going to be very beneficial to you in your trajectory. But the thing here is once you start to see this come to fruition, you need to have a game plan. You need to be ready to go, because the ace is the start of the deck when it comes to the suit of pentacles. You have a whole journey to go on here. So like I said, you can't just like sit back and enjoy. You're going to have a game plan ready. You're going to need to know, what habits do you need to have this really come to life? What goals do you need? How are you going to plan things out? And because we're in Mercury retrograde, I really suggest taking things one step at a time when this presents itself to you, because you don't want to get too overloaded. So up next, an interruption, because it's bound to happen, right? What interruption is Mercury retrograde going to cause? We have the reverse Lovers. This is a major arcana card, so this may be something that you have to deal with the whole period of Mercury retrograde and even into the post-shadow period as well. Mercury retrograde, once it goes stations direct, there is also a pre and post-shadow period of about 2 weeks. So if we look at this card, we kind of have like the same swirly clouds here that are gray. So it's like, again, something's brewing. If we look at the artistry here, on this side, things aren't looking too good. On this side, they are very abundant, but there is a snake there. So like maybe there's some sort of temptation. The grass is really green and fruitful. Again, there's a mountain, so that's representing some challenges, some temptations. And up here we have the spiritual figure, and we have the sun behind them, and the sun is always a good sign. So I think that this card really shows like you're very grounded down to earth, and that maybe you need to look up to some spiritual aspects and, you know, get up a little bit and not be so practical, so to say, and that's going to help you out. So having this card reversed, there's going to be communication issues, and the Lovers card, reverse Lovers card, so to say, I would say is a very good Mercury retrograde card, because yeah, communication is not going to be it. It's going to be jumbled here. And something that you need to do to bring to the table to avoid a lot of conflict when it comes to this time is that you need to bring love, compassion, understanding, patience. Those are all things that you're going to need, so you don't have a recipe for disaster here. And you also want to consider the long term, because Mercury retrograde is a short period of time, and this being a major arcana card is signaling to me that, you know, if you don't handle this the right way, the ramifications of it and the fallout of it may last a lot longer than Mercury retrograde. So you really need to consider the long term here, and you need to be able to make compromises. Up next, we have an important shift that is going to take place during this retrograde. So we have the Knight of Wands. This is like a card of action. So what I see with this is that the energy of the Ace of Pentacles and the energy of the Knight of Wands are going to clash, because like they're running at each other into the reverse Lovers. So maybe this is going to be the cause of some of that miscommunication that you might experience here, especially with the Knight of Wands. Knights can be a little bit arrogant and cocky, so just having like that patience, compromise, and compassion is really going to help you out. But if we do look here at the artistry on the Knight of Wands, we see somebody charging in. Maybe they're being a little bit defensive because they have this armor on, but they do have a robe, or like they're dressing with salamanders, and salamanders are known to bring good luck to situation. There's little sprouts on the wand here, so your idea is sprouting. The horse is riding into battle with confidence. You have nice flat ground right now, but again, the mountains are in the background, and you have a nice blue clear sky, so that's a good sign. So whatever is coming out of this Ace of Pentacles, it's going to put you into action. This is going to be the cause of this card. You're going to be very excited. You're going to be taking charge. The sign of Wands is fire. It represents a fire sign. It's very passionate. So like the Knight here is really bringing those things together. So passion, enthusiasm, motivation, energy, very charismatic as well. So that's going to be to your benefit when it comes to here. Another kind of downside with the Knight of Wands is impatience. I'm a fire sign. I'm not ragging on fire signs because I am one. We are impatient. We tend to act first and think later. So rushing into this is going to maybe cause a little bit of this chaos. So just be a little careful. And because it's Mercury retrograde, think before you act to do the opposite, because that's really going to help you here. So something to be mindful of, we have the reverse King of Swords. And again, this is like you're not thinking, you're letting your ego get in the way. Don't let your ego get in the way here. So upright, we can see, again, we have a theme here with these swirly clouds. Only with the Knight, it's like the swirls aren't as pronounced. So things are like maybe not as jumbled, but your thinking could be a little bit jumbled right now. There are 2 birds in the background, and 2 is supposed to be a lucky number, and birds also represent thinking in the mind, which is fitting for the suit of swords, because swords represents intellect, which is about, you know, Mercury relates to communication, intellect, all of that. And normally, you know, the king is up confident. He's sitting straight, holding his sword with confidence here, but upside down, some of the, you know, the negative sides of the King of Swords are going to be coming out. So don't let things go to your head here, right? Because the Knight of Wands is like very like, you know, they can be cocky, like I said. So don't let it go to your head. Don't let your ego run the show here. This is a warning. Yes, because swords is about communication and thinking, so don't let harsh judgment, lack of compassion, and lack of patience get in the way here, because that's going to set you up for the recipe of charging straight into the miscommunication and issues in the reverse Lovers card. This card could also represent you having scattered thoughts. Maybe you're overthinking, maybe you're worrying, maybe, you know, you're just very, very worried and overthinking about the Ace of Pentacles, and is it going to be successful? Is it actually going to come to fruition? So maybe you're just overthinking things and causing doubt, and that's not going to work for you either. So just make sure, you know, trust that you know that you're doing, and just make sure that you have that confidence, but you're not letting your ego get to your head here. And then lastly, for how Mercury retrograde is going to benefit you, we have the reverse 10 of Cups here. So upright, you know, there's nothing wrong. There's a rainbow, there's 10 cups, like, you know, very emotionally fulfilled. We have a family, they're celebrating, they're happy, there's a lot of greenery, there's a stream leading to a house down the way, there's a nice blue sky. But reversed, when it comes to the 10 of Cups, it could represent broken relationships. So I think for you in this process of once this Ace of Pentacles come around, the miscommunication and like you may be butting heads with people because they may not agree with what this is, and they may not agree with your journey over here. So I think you may find out who is really there for you and who isn't. Who's actually supporting you here? And that sounds like a negative, but the question was, how is this going to benefit you? So this retrograde is really going to show you who is there for you, who is supportive of you. The truth is going to be revealed. We have a full moon coming up. You know, the moon, you can't hide from the light of the moon. So people are going to be exposed. The truth is going to be revealed. And this card may also represent for you rearranging your values, because that could tie into people not supporting you. So you may be rearranging your values that way, or because you are seeing the miscommunication of the reverse lovers and like maybe the overthinking or harsh judgment of the reverse King of Swords. Maybe seeing these things is going to cause you to rearrange your values to something that's more beneficial to you. You could be realigning your expectations. And I think some good questions, once this starts to come about, some good questions to ask yourself or to journal on is, what do you want? Where are your values? Is your new pursuit throwing things off? Are you neglecting your relationships? Is that what's causing the conflict? So just really being open with communication. I can't emphasize that enough. No matter what cards you get or who you are, I would always be like, be really open with communication, especially during Mercury retrograde. All right, so now we have some oracle cards here that we're going to go over. So the first oracle card I pulled from Visions in the Liminal Space, and I'm going to read what this says in the guidebook and how it applies to your spread. So here we have the card, Kill Your Darlings. There is bravery in breaking your own heart, and now is the time to be brave. In writing, darlings are the most loved and therefore the most overused phrases by writers. In life, darlings are habits, their addictions, their laurels, and their comforts. To avoid becoming boring and predictable, kill a darling. Doing so will invariably lead to a fresher source of information. So I think this relates into, you may have to kill some of your old habits and let some things go that aren't serving you anymore, so it doesn't get in the way of your Ace of Pentacles here. And then up next, from where Alice went, I love this deck so much. My friend Sarah created this deck. We have the card Grow, which is fitting, right? Because we pulled the Ace of Pentacles, so you're bound to grow. And let's see what her advice here is. Sarah's explanation of this card is, you are expanding beyond your current circumstances and may feel limited by your current situation. Allow yourself to leave your cocoon, spread your wings, and explore. You're ready to appreciate new horizons. So this is really tying in with the Ace of Pentacles, and it's really tying in with the conflict that you may be getting from the reverse lovers, reverse King of Swords, and the reverse Ten of Cups. So you may be outgrowing relationships and people in your life while you're pursuing whatever the Ace of Pentacles is. So you are going to have a little bit of a challenging Mercury retrograde should you pursue what this opportunity is. And again, we all have free will. So what happens here is up to you. Like, this is not set in stone. It depends on you and what actions you're choosing to take or not take. And lastly, from the Moonology deck, we have a full moon, which I love because the full moon is coming up soon. We have balance, spirituality, and practicality. Full moon in Pisces. So this is perfect. This is like related to the Lovers card, right? It's the balance of being, you know, very grounded, practical thinking, and also being up here and raising your vibration to a more spiritual level. Pulling from the guidebook, it says, have you ever been so head in the clouds that you've lost touch with the reality? If so, take this card as a sign that you need to pay attention and make a connected effort to move towards your goals. The more practical steps you can take, the better. That relates to the lesson of Ace of Pentacles, of having your goals planned out. It's time to find an inner balance between your responsibilities and your dreams. Meditate on your question, and the solutions to your issues may now come through very clearly. If you're in a tricky situation because you've been acting the martyr, this card will be a message from the cosmos to drop the act for everyone's sake. Attune with the moon. Meditate every day and see what comes to you. Answers will come. Additional meanings for this card include you're in a super romantic but not super realistic state. Follow your intuition and won't let you down. At worst, this card can herald the end of a dream. The person you're inquiring about is a soulmate. Avoid substance abuse. So that is what is in store for you, my friends, for pile 1 for Mercury retrograde. If you liked my reading, I do have a link down below for my website if you would like a more personal one-on-one. There is also a tip jar option as well if you would like to thank me for the energy that I put into this video. Or you can also thank me by giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing. Please let me know in the comments what messages resonated with you. I would love to hear from you. Best of luck, my friends, and I will see you in the next video. Pile 2, welcome to your pick a card reading. You chose pile 2. I'm already experiencing some of the wrath of Mercury retrograde myself, so you are not alone. I already tried filming this and pile 1 corrupted and pile 2 started to corrupt as well. So let's hope we have better luck because we have the black tourmaline here over this pile and we are going to need all the protection that we can get, my friends. Let's get into your reading. So the first card is a card to represent what this Mercury retrograde has in store for you. So here we have the reverse 9 of Wands. And I just like showing it upright because I feel like it's easier to see what the card looks like. I'm a very visual person. So this is the 9 of Wands. So 9s are like your goals are coming to fruition. There's attainment. There's like some sort of fulfillment. But with it being reversed, we may not quite be feeling that just yet. I mean, even if you look at his face, he doesn't necessarily look super happy. So you may have experience what retrograde is going to have in store for you. So you may be having feelings of overwhelm, of fatigue. You might be questioning everything, right? Because 9 is pretty late in the game, so you've been working really hard towards something, but now you're just not sure if it's for you anymore. But you're so close to the end. When we're looking at a suit of cards, right, we have ace to 10. So you're at 9 right now. So you're so close. This is like the breaking point for you almost. Like you're so close, almost there, and you almost feel like giving up. Perhaps you're stacking your wands against you as a defense mechanism in this case. You can already see like all like the hills that you have conquered behind you, but fear not, because like we have a nice clear blue sky and your wands have little sprouts on them. So like things are happening, but they might not be happening as quickly as you thought they would or that you were hoping that they would. You might be on the struggle bus with your goals. You're just not feeling very motivated. You may also be all work and no play right now, so that might, you know, tie into your burnout. So I think this Mercury retrograde, you're just going to feel exhausted. You're going to feel burnt out. You might feel like you don't have a lot of support from people right now. But again, you are on the struggle bus with your goals and attaining them, but just know you are so close. You're so close. Don't give up on it. I really feel like if this is what Mercury retrograde is going to represent for you, I really feel like you need to tap into your self-care, have some positive self-talk. And, you know, the Wands is all about passion and courage, and it's reversed right now. So I think you need to dig deep and remind yourself why you started this in the first place and find some of that passion again. I think you will once you take a pause to like rest. Mercury retrograde, you know, feeling frustrated, it may also be calling you to rest because again, it's all work, no play. You're not really enjoying yourself right now. So I think if you pause and take a step back, you're going to find that passion, you're going to have that energy, you're going to find that courage again to get you over to the finish line where you need to be. I can also see that you might be paranoid right now about other people and, you know, what they're saying about you and what their opinion of you is, because maybe it's taking a while longer than you expected to follow through with your goals, or maybe they just don't get it at all, and maybe that's starting to get you down. But don't let it be a distraction from completing your goal because you are so close. Really take the time to focus on you right now. An interruption Mercury retrograde will cause, because it always causes interruptions, let's be real. And we have the reverse Three of Swords. I feel like this is a tank because swords is a suit that represents communication, intellect, thoughts, ideas, and that's really what the planet of Mercury is, and that's a planet that's retrograding. So again, I think you're letting you're really letting this card get you down because you're participating in a lot of negative self-talk here. You're paying attention to a lot of your own thoughts and you're a little bit too inside of your head. What we need to remember is that we can be our own worst critic. And I feel like the paranoia from this last card is causing you to have these intrusive negative thoughts. You're being like really sensitive to other people's words right now, and that may be because of like your own feelings of frustration of being so close to getting something done but not quite getting there. So you're being a little extra sensitive to what other people are saying to you, and your mind might be twisting people's words into something more negative. So what's triggering this? I think what you need to do is put a pause on this to figure out what is triggering this and have some self-reflection and journal. I would also suggest using creativity and imagination to seek lighter feelings. And I'm saying to use creativity and imagination because creativity really ties into the suit of wands. So I think that once you take some time to just step back from what you're doing, you know, journal a little bit, have some of that playtime, and it will re-spark and reinvigorate your creativity and get you back on track to where you need to go. But you're letting your own thoughts get in the way. Yeah, you're really letting your thoughts get in the way because your thoughts, which are, you know, represented by the swords here hovering above your head, 9 of Swords. So there's many of them hovering above your head at bed at night, and you're not in a state of relaxation. You're not, you know, sleeping like you should. Your mind isn't in a peaceful place like it should be. So you're having a lot of stress and worry with this. And this, you know, the third card represents an important shift that's going to happen this retrograde. So you're having all these negative self-thoughts or negative self-doubts and all these worries, and I think the shift is that you're going to get interrupted and distracted and almost consumed with your intrusive thoughts, but you're going to need to force this shift to happen so you can come out of this. You need to release. That's something that you really need to shift during this Mercury retrograde over the next couple of weeks. You just really need to release. There's a lot of inner turmoil that you're going on. You may have a lot of deep-seated fears in relation to what you're working on and what you're trying to accomplish. You're worrying a lot. So you really need to shift that into like healing and having hope again. Your brain is very powerful, and your brain is using its power to make things worse than what they seem. It's really not that bad. It's your own perception right now that is making things seem worse than what they actually are. So don't let this fear have power over you. Don't let it strip your life force. Don't let it paralyze you. Stop being so hard on yourself. And because, you know, this does seem like a lot, you know, 9 again is fruition. So a lot of these thoughts are coming to fruition in your head. I think that you need to really reach out to a trusted person and talk to them about it. If you are able to do therapy, I would suggest talking to a therapist about this, because this is really heavy. This is a lot. The 3 of Swords and then the 9 of Swords, you just have a lot of heavy thoughts on your mind right now. So you don't need to hold it in and internalize this anymore. Something that you can try to look for is positive reinforcement, and reward yourself when you have positive self-talk and when you're doing self-care. Reward yourself for taking those steps, because it's very hard to get out of this mindset. But if you do little steps at a time and you're rewarding yourself for taking those little steps, it's going to get things to be a lot easier, and you're going to have that creativity and that motivation come back to you again. So hope is going to be illuminated here, and this is going to be the end of your feelings of despair. I think that's really what the shift is. The shift is going to be in your mindset and thinking. Something to be mindful of this Mercury retrograde. Again, another Swords. Are y'all air signs watching this? Yeah, so, okay, we have the reverse 6 of Swords here. And upright, it's a, you know, a family fleeing on the ocean. They're currently in rough waters, but as you can see, the water out here is nice and smooth. So they're taking everything that they need on this boat. They're going on this journey. They're feeling like a little bit of despair right now, but it's smooth sailing up ahead. Things are like very neutral right now. So there may be a lot of despair and hopelessness, but you are on a journey to leave what isn't serving you behind. And that includes your thought patterns. You're traveling with a little less swords than what you had in the previous card. This is also really going to push you outside of your comfort zone, because you're very comfortable here. Like, this is your natural, this may be a natural state. You're very comfortable here. So getting in this rough water and leaving these negative thoughts behind, it may sound silly, but it's like, it's what's comfortable. It's what you're familiar with. It's what you know. So it's hard to change that mindset. It's hard to change that thinking. So pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone is going to allow you to evolve as a person. So if you're resisting change, you really need to focus on the benefits of what's going to come out of this for you. What's holding you back and how can you resolve this? And it's going to help you moderate your emotions as well. All right, so the last question and card is, how is this retrograde going to benefit you? And we have the 5 of Pentacles. So here, you know, this is supposed to be a church here with the stained glass window. It represents wealth, it represents abundance, and there's like prosperity and everything inside, but these people are outside in the snow. They're not necessarily prepared for the cold conditions that they're walking in. They're struggling, but only if they looked up and noticed this window and this light, they could go inside and get the help and the resources that they need. So is it other people or is it you that's getting in your own way? Because if they just go inside, they can get the help that they need. They can get the proper clothing. They can have somewhere, they can have shelter, but they're just walking right past. So are you getting in your own way here when it comes to healing your mindset? That is what I am seeing here. So how is this Mercury retrograde going to benefit you, right? Because like, you're getting on a boat, you're going to leave all this behind, and you need to use the resources that you have. Using resources will help you make change. If you're very consumed with your thoughts and yourself, who can help you? Who can you reach out to? There is help available to you. You just really need to reach out to it and don't ignore what's in front of you. People are there to support you, and you don't have to do this on your own. You're sabotaging your own ability to create abundance. You're so close, but you're trying to self-sabotage yourself because you think that you don't deserve happiness, or whatever it may be is getting in the way of you being successful and fulfilling your goal when you're so close to the end. So what is it that you're afraid of? What's holding you back? How can you resolve it? Some things that may help you that are small, that are, you know, easy and attainable to do on your journey is gratitude. Express gratitude. Write down in a journal one thing that you're grateful for every day. It may seem silly at first, but the more you do it, the easier it will be, and it will ground you and help you realize of how much abundance is actually around you and surrounding you. And it's going to give you that push back into that creative and imaginative state to help you complete your goals. The positivity is going to grow, and lacking and feeling like you're not good enough is going to be in the past. So use the resources that are available, and it's going to help you attain your goals, and so you can finish what you started here. So you're going through a hard time right now. I mean, it's hard not to, given the state of the world. But that on top of your own personal things, it's a lot to carry. You don't have to carry it by yourself. It may seem like it's hard to get out of, or it may feel like it's impossible to get out of, but it isn't. You do have people and resources that are there for you. You just kind of need to look around a little bit more and see what's around you. So let's end this reading with some oracle cards. This is from Visions in the Liminal Space deck, and I'm going to read from the guidebook, but this card says strangely perfect timing. So this is all happening for a reason. There are no coincidences. You're being called to use this period of Mercury retrograde and probably the shadow period to figure this out and to get out of this thinking and to get out of this mindset. Don't let the humdrum of Mercury retrograde add to that and add to the intrusive thoughts. Everything's happening for a reason. And in the guidebook, it says, the darling traveler may slip between time's tickings. Expand it. Skip pebbles through its waters and peer between its curtains. The wise one knows better. To receive something ahead of time can be more damning than the late or null arrival. To seek or possess premature information may induce madness. A fruit is ripest right before it rots. A dream, a few seconds too late, was a nightmare. A birth too early is a death. There is no benefit to getting ahead of time. Follow its lead and arrive not late or early, not rushing or idling, but strangely, perfectly on time. In here, I have a card from the Where Alice Went Oracle deck. My friend Sarah created this deck. I absolutely love it. And here we have the card Ask. So again, ask for your resources and who's around you and who's to help you. But in Sarah's guidebook, it says, you will never know unless you ask the question. You may think you are sure what others will say or do, but it's never safe to assume the outcome of any situation. Get more information before you draw to any conclusions. So again, this is just really encouraging you to reach out to the people that are around you. And lastly, I had two cards come out when I was shuffling for the Moonology deck. So let's see what those two cards are and what the guidebook has to say for them. So up first, what do you need to release? And that's a tank, right? Like there are no coincidences, because you need to release all of this negative thinking. There's really not too many fun, bright colors in these Three Swords cards. So, you know, you got what represents the waning moon, which is what do you need to release? The waning moon points to what's falling away. Life goes in cycles, and sometimes we need downtime or to let it go. No matter when in the moon cycle you pull this card, it's a sign that a situation has peaked for better or for worse, and it's time for you to go easier. It's the autumn and winter of the cycle. So what do you need to release? Almost certainly something from the situation you're asking about. This card can be very positive, but it can still gently be suggesting that you letting something go, that you need to let something go and stop trying so hard. Attuned to the moon, it's safe to let go and move on. Additional meanings for this card can include move forward with as little resistance as possible. This is not the time to start new projects. Releasing emotional baggage is recommended now. Say sorry to somebody. Do energetic work such as meditation or yoga. And soon you will see what lies ahead. And the last card that also came out is a full moon card. We do have a full moon coming up here, and it's telling you to look at the bigger picture. So you need to release this, but you also need to look out to the horizon of the Six of Cups here, or the Six of Swords here on the boat. And you also need to look at the bigger picture. Look at what's around you. What can you utilize here? So for the full moon in Sagittarius, are you thinking too much about the details of your dilemma? Fretting over minute details can be counterproductive. Or perhaps you're being all talk and no action. This card is a reminder that while it's good to think things through, sometimes you need to step back and look at the bigger picture. What do you see then? What do you then see about your current situation? What's its most positive thought you can have about it? Now is the time to count your blessings, even if you don't yet have exactly what you want. This card is also a reminder that we often have to take a few risks and go with uncertainty on this journey called life. Try to keep an open mind about what's for the best, and the universe could surprise you. Attuned to the moon, take time out for a mini break or an adventure. Additional meanings for this card include, this situation may have come around because you've been distracted. Be confident without being overly confident to win the day. Have you shown that you care? If not, now is the time. Find balance between speaking your mind and saying too much. And those are all really good reminders for Mercury retrograde as well, since, you know, it has to do with communication. And this is just a really good time to take a pause for good spiritual hygiene as well, since we're in eclipse season. If you would like more information on eclipse season and what it all really means, I do have a video that I put up last fall, so it will be linked down below. So keep your head up, my friends. Don't let your intrusive thoughts get the better of you. Reach out for help. Just pause for this time period and fall back into the things that you love and that you enjoy, and you will be right back up on your feet in no time. So I hope you enjoyed this reading. Thank you for your time and energy. If you enjoyed your spread, there is a link in the description box for a tip jar. And you can also thank me by giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel. If you would like a personal reading, again, you can visit my website, MoonMagickSpirit.com. And please let me know in the comments what messages resonated with you. I would love to connect with you more. So you can also see where else to find me on social media in the description box as well. But stay calm, cool, collected, and have a good Mercury retrograde, the best one that you can. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, everyone. Hello, friends. So welcome to pile 3 for your pick a card reading. We are testing the fate of time here because I have a 20% battery. So let's see if I can get this done with 20% left. So let's get into it. Mercury retrograde has already been testing my patience, filming the other 2 piles. I shouldn't really be surprised. But let's see what Mercury retrograde has in store for you. So a card to represent Mercury retrograde. We have the reverse Knight of Swords. So I'm just going to hold this right side up because I'm a visual person and it's a lot easier to look at a card right side up. So here we can see somebody's rushing into things. They look very determined. They're like, yes, this is my way. This is what I'm doing. The horse is kind of looking back like, should we be doing this? The horse isn't exactly confident with the rider. You can see that things are moving really fast. The trees are like almost being pushed back. The birds are all scattered around up here in the corner. They're not flying right. The clouds are like really jagged. And it looks like you're climbing up a little bit of a hill here. So let's get into this meaning a little bit more. Here we have the Knight of Swords. So what is going to represent this retrograde for you? And this is going to be a lot of distractions while this person's like very determined right now. The downside of this card is that you are very distracted. You may be feeling burnt out, feeling lost. Again, the swords has to relate to air energy and it relates to the energy of Mercury. So it's just, you know, there's a lot going on right now with your thoughts that are causing you to maybe feel a little bit burnt out and lost. Normally you take charge with a clear path, But Mercury retrograde is getting in the way of that. You have a lot of thoughts, ideas, and motivation, but you may be a little bit lost on where to put it. You may be the horse right now. Like your ideas and thoughts are like racing and charging ahead, and you're kind of like the horse and you're like, where are we going? Like, should we be doing this? Like, what's going on here? You can't really make up your mind. So you have a lot of these thoughts, motivations, ideas, and like nowhere to necessarily put it. You're kind of like second guessing everything, like, oh, like this is a really great idea. And then you go, but wait, and then you think about it and then you're like, is it a good idea? Should I be doing this? How do I do this? Like, where do I put it? Like, what do I do with it? Like, is it going to work out if I do it this way? But then I can also do things this way. And like, you're very like wish-washy with it. And I like to call this being a Libra, and I'm not ragging on Libras because I'm a Libra rising and I am very indecisive often. So I relate to that energy. It's kind of very much that. So there's too much going on at once for you, and it's going to cause you to feel a little bit burnt out, and you need to like just come to a full stop. So you need to stop this charging and rushing, and you just need to pause. You need to like pull on the brakes, come to a screeching halt here, and you need to ground yourself and connect with yourself and just kind of take some deep breaths to kind of quiet your mind a little bit. And that you need to start small and have one thing that you're focused on, right? Because we can say that all these little birds, if you can see them, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 birds here that are all discombobulated. Those are your ideas. So you just need to focus on one of them for right now and start small and like, what steps do I need to take that are realistic and tangible to help me get to my goals? So that's kind of what Mercury retrograde, like the energy of retrograde is going to bring to you this time around. So, you know, Mercury retrograde gets in the way of things. So let's see what is going to interrupt. What's an interruption Mercury retrograde is going to cause? And we have the 2 of Cups here for the interruption. So upright, normally this card means like there's like a balance, things are in harmony, you're like really in tune with yourself or in tune with others. However, when we're looking at this card from like a reversed perspective, this card represents imbalance again. So like broken communication, there may be tension. The energy shift isn't quite right here. So this is an interruption again that Mercury retrograde is going to cause. So the thing here is, when it comes to Mercury retrograde, my advice is always like, be as clear and open with communication as you possibly can. So open up, clear communication. If you're still having a struggle, you may just need to put a pause on this for right now and give it space and give it time, because with the eclipse season that we have going on, it speeds things up. It speeds up the inevitable. So like maybe just kind of pausing and not trying to force things right now and just letting the energy sit for a little bit is going to be helpful to you. And then once retrograde, you know, once the shadow period, you know, even wait until the shadow period's over. Once the Mercury retrograde shadow period is over, maybe try again to see if you can fix and correct things with whatever this tension is. You may just need to give it time and space for right now. And if you're curious to learn more about eclipses, I do have a video that I filmed like last fall during the eclipse season. So even though the eclipses may be in different signs, the information is still like general and the same. So if you would like to check that out, there will be a link down below, and it will probably be floating around this video somewhere as well too. So the 3rd card is an important shift that will happen during this time. In here we have the reverse 6 of Wands. So upright, this is like a big celebration card. People are in town square. They're celebrating this person. The horse looks really prideful. The person has like their head held high. They're like, yes, look at me. So to me, you are reaching or close to reaching a significant personal milestone here, but there's a couple things that could be going on. So like with this reversed, it could mean that you just want to have a small celebration, or it just means that like you don't want to celebrate at all and that's just not your vibe. and you need to create your own version of success and like your own version of a celebration if you don't like being the center of attention? Or are you holding yourself back from celebrating? Do you think you don't deserve recognition? Do you think you don't deserve praise? There's something going on here that is preventing you from having this really big celebration. Or we could also say that the situation, maybe you achieve this really big goal, this milestone, you finally hit it, and other people around you aren't celebrating you or praising you like you think. Like maybe you want this big celebration and you feel like you're just not getting it. So when it comes to an important shift that's going to happen this Mercury retrograde, I think that you need to celebrate yourself. Like whether other people want to recognize it or not, you need to create your own version of success and your own version of celebrating. And if you're introverted, what does celebrating to you mean? So make sure that you're treating yourself and recognizing your accomplishments here because they deserve to be recognized. So up next, we have something to be mindful of this Mercury retrograde, and we have the reverse Four of Cups. So this person's like in a very meditative state. They're under like a green tree. They're very like grounded, right? They're like very much on earth. And then over here in the middle of the card, so like a little bit higher, like in the frequency, if we want to talk about like earth is like very logical, practical thinking. And then like up in the sky is more like your intuition and spiritual realm things happening. So here we have this cup coming out of thin air, and the person isn't necessarily noticing it because like they have their eyes down, they're looking down, perhaps they're meditating on what's in front of them. So they're closing themselves off from the possibilities in the future. So something to be mindful of this Mercury retrograde, with the card being reversed, I think that introspection is something huge for you, especially when it comes to, let's not forget the energy of the Knight of Swords, being discombobulated, kind of feeling like you're like being pulled in a million different directions. So like maybe these are all the possibilities in front of you that you're charging at, and you don't necessarily feel confident about it, or you're not exactly sure, or you're just feeling very indecisive right now. So instead of rushing to pick a cup, I think having a lot of like introspection and just taking a moment to pause and take a step back is going to be good for you. Focus on your inward thoughts, kind of like hermit mode it a little bit, maybe like keep to yourself and just focus on what you want to accomplish. Think your answers through is the big ones, because again, you don't want to rush into it and cause like disharmony or miscommunication or have like some kind of imbalance happening here. So make sure that you're really taking the time to think your answers through. And because we are in Mercury retrograde, double check your things. Double check your spelling, double check what you're turning in, make sure that all the information is there. So this card is really calling you to slow down, slow this energy down a lot, and you really need to reflect on what's happening around you and just make sure that you're double checking things. And so that's something to really be mindful of this Mercury retrograde. And our last tarot card before we get into the oracle cards is, how is this Mercury retrograde going to benefit you? And here we have the reverse King of Pentacles. We have an entire spread of reverse cards. So that's very significant. So here up right, you know, we have the King of Pentacles. Pentacles represents like tangible things, physical things, practical things, so like work, abundance, money, material objects, like holistic abundance, all of that stuff. And the King has like really mastered it, and he's like very abundant with his throne, very like wealthy and fruitful. So, you know, the reverse of that is that the King of Pentacles can be a little bit rigid. He can be very frugal with his possessions and his money and spending. The King of Pentacles can also be boring, you know, have a lot of self-discipline. He can be very arrogant, very stubborn. He can be very much a workaholic, all work, no fun. So these are some things that you want to look out for if you can relate, or if you've been told that you kind of are like any of the things that I described, like the darker side of the King of Pentacles. Mercury retrograde, and perhaps this introspection period that you're going to have, is going to change your thinking, right? Because if you're being very frugal, you're not really celebrating yourself. You're not really treating yourself here. So having this period of introspection is going to teach you how to celebrate yourself, how to treat yourself, how to kind of let go of being so rigid and stiff, and to start enjoying life so you can have this balance and harmony, so this card can flip up. And just slowing down is going to help get you there. So being grounded, again, I think I said that for this Knight of Swords, to like really kind of ground yourself and just like focus and be one. So, you know, quite literally ground yourself, you know, sit down, meditate, spend time in nature, just kind of like turn off the noise, turn off your phone maybe if you're very consumed with that. If you're being very consumed with media right now, maybe hide or delete some of the social media apps off of your phone, just kind of like block out the noise, because once you are sitting in that silence, so to say, you're really going to be able to flip all of these cards right side up and be back on track with things. So while it's really good to be grounded, right? The reverse King of Pentacles, you know, he's very grounded, very frugal, like, you know, very much like holding on to, hoarding his wealth, so to say. So while it's a good thing to be grounded, it's also good to have fun and to not be so serious, right? Like I just hear the Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker in my head, like, why so serious? I just hear that in my head, like when I pulled this card. You can't control everything, right? Because the king, he rules everything. He's very much in control. He's almost too controlling when he's in the reverse position, very rigid, very frugal, very boring, very grounded, very focused, very controlling, very like, I need to keep account of everything and everything needs to be done correctly, or everything needs to be in its right place. I'm getting very much Capricorn energy here. So you need to let that go a little bit and trust yourself. So I think once you're able to let go, trust yourself, and celebrate yourself and treat yourself a little bit, that's how Mercury retrograde is going to benefit you. That's one big lesson that you're going to learn during this period. And like I said, all these cards will, you know, return from their reverse position and it'll be smooth sailing. You'll be celebrating yourself like you deserve to. You'll have harmony and balance with yourself and the people around you. You can confidently, you know, swoop into new projects and different ideas and have success with it. You'll have more opportunities presenting itself and stemming from all of this, leading you to be in a very abundant position, right? Because when it comes to physical objects and things like money, money is energy, so you need to keep that flow going. And you deserve to have that flow return to you in a fun way, instead of just being miserable and kind of just stacking up money. It's okay to responsibly spend some of that. So let's go ahead and move on to the Oracle cards. So up first, I'm pulling a card from Visions in the Liminal Space deck by Vikara Whitner and Kaylee Christensen. And the card that we pulled, it looks like a computer screen or like an editing program here. And it says, believe nothing that you hear and only half of what you see. So I'm going to go ahead and read from the guidebook, and we can see how this is going to apply to us and how it's going to apply to the spread. It's beneficial to remain aware of the astonishing subjectivity of perception, for consciousness is informed by countless experiences and conditions unique to the individual. What you are hearing and seeing, telling and being told, are spiked with the self-deception that is inherent to the human condition. A map is not the same as the territory it represents, nor is your perception of truth necessarily true. Words are symbols that fail to fully grasp the nature of reality. Reality itself is a fragile and subjective operating system. If language can serve only as a pale construct of reality that eludes us, Both concepts must be understood to be imperfect. What are you left with now? A tonic for the anxious mind to not believe every thought that passes through. I have another oracle card from Where Alice Went Oracle deck by my friend Sarah. I will have these decks linked down below, by the way, if you're interested in them. And here we have the oracle card Turn. You may need to change course, and this is a reminder that it's okay to abandon something if you need or desire to do so. Crossing the finish line is not the only measurement of success, and you can gain just as much from letting go of something as you can by seeing it through to the bitter end. So I think that that's really good advice, and that ties into the message of the spread of kind of letting go of this King of Pentacles reverse energy so everything can flip on its own. And lastly, from the Moonology deck, we have the cardinal moon. Be bold and make the first move, which is interesting because cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. And I was picking up on some of that energy here in this spread. Honestly, you can say all 4 signs are represented in the spread, with Aries in the wands, Cancer with the cups, Libra with the swords, and Capricorn with the pentacles. Now is the time to be bold, bossy even. Take matters into your own hands. Cardinal signs are powerful and self-starting. They're determined and great at organizing. Drawing this card strongly suggests that you're going to need to be all of those things to get your ideal resolution or position in the situation you're asking about. This card may challenge you on how strongly you really want something. If you're worrying about a situation, it is a suggestion to be less passive. Instead, take an assertive stance as you steer events where you want them to go. Speak up for what you want. If you're serious about sorting things out, you may need to take lead in some way and to step up as a leader. I see that as you coming into power of celebrating yourself and having this communication and harmony with others as you lead your way into the position of becoming as the upright King of Pentacles. So we can attune to the moon. I am taking charge of my destiny. Additional meanings for this card include be bold and follow your heart and your emotions. Avoid recklessness or moving too fast. Come into your power. The time for action is now. Ask Ganesha, the Hindu elephant god, for help. That is going to wrap it up for pile 3 for your pick a card for how Mercury Retrograde is going to land for you. So if you enjoyed the time and energy that I put into this, there is a link for a tip jar down below, or if you would like a personalized one-on-one reading with me, again, my website is also linked down below. You can also thank me by giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing if you aren't yet already. Please let me know what messages you related to in the comments. I would love to hear from you and what your thoughts are on this. But as always, thank you so much for your time and energy as well in this video. I appreciate it. Best of luck, my friends, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.